I cannot begin to tell you how awesome it's been to see the Sega Saturn dev community grow over the last decade or so. We are getting completely new games, translations, and improvement hacks that make software that was previously tough to get into all the more inviting. One such title that has seen a number of improvement patches over the years has been Dracula X Nocturne in the Moonlight, or the Japanese Saturn version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's been a target for a number of reasons. As you know, Konami gave the Saturn port of this game to its B team, which did a quick and dirty conversion that left a lot to be desired. It had performance issues, many of its graphical effects stripped back, and a number of other problems that left it a disappointing release that should have been so much better. Some time ago, Paul Met and Team Meduza released Dracula X Nocturne in the Moonlight Extended for the Saturn, which sought to fix many of the issues with the original game's transparencies, loading times, and a few other quality of life improvements. I really enjoyed the work they did there, but unfortunately they left the entire game in Japanese, both the text and the speech. Not one to leave things unfinished, Paul Met and his team are back, and this time, they have what they dub as Dracula X Nocturne in the Moonlight Ultimate Version 1.0. Let's find out why this is the very best release of this game to date and why you need to play it. I hope you guys enjoy this look at Dracula X Ultimate for the Sega Saturn. If you have played Team Meduza's Dracula X Extended, you already know many of the great changes that are in this version. A huge percentage of the transparencies have been restored. It starts with Alucard and the shadow that follows him. Originally, even this was a series of mesh images, but now it looks far better, particularly if you have one of the colored capes that make it stand out more. These fixes extend to the fire and smoke death sequences for pretty much every enemy in the game. From the wolves in the opening hall to the giant axe throwing knights, you get a nice smooth transparency. This also means that enemies that were entirely translucent look much better. Make your way to the upper castle area and have a gander at the skulls, or go to the library and check out the ectoplasm to see what I mean. The conversation boxes have also been made transparent, as have the item and enemy name boxes that appear in the lower portion of the screen. Restoration of many of these basic effects really does improve the overall experience immensely, especially considering many gamers will be playing this on modern displays. While there are many improvements to appreciate in this patch, not everything has been fixed. The underground cavern still has water that is a mesh, and Alucard's mist form is still the same unsightly mesh it had before. I'm not sure if anything can be done about those, but what has been done so far is well worth investigating. Let's have some examples so you can see how great some of these effects are now looking.
それならばこれをご覧くださり。それならばこれをご覧くださり。
For those of you with the 4MB RAM expansion cartridge, you also get improved load times when using it. This includes area transitions, the pause menu, and access to the map, which is now easier by just hitting up and start. These improvements are mostly minor but appreciated, and if you have the cartridge, it's worth breaking it out for a go. And speaking of the map, it has been modified with additional colors to better separate the room types and where you've been. You will also notice that the screen no longer has those awful black bars at the top and bottom. You now get a full screen experience. Richter now starts in his alternate costume, there is a hard mode that gives enemies twice as much life, and you can skip the cinematics throughout the entire game. I'll drop some notes in the description so you can see the full list of additions and changes for this version. Now that you've seen most of what was already in the extended release, what exactly makes this version so ultimate? In addition to what we just went over, this has also been given an English translation straight from the PSP edition. That includes the voices, the conversation windows, the items, the menus, and the character and enemy lists. Important on-screen prompts are now in English as well. I know many of you have a fondness for the PlayStation version's voice work, but I have come to prefer the PSP edition of this myself. It's a bit less campy and adds a nice change that makes the Saturn version just a touch different from the PlayStation original. If you have never heard it before, here are a few of the conversations so you can see the difference.
Wait, are you human? What are you doing here?
I've come to destroy this castle.
Likewise. I'm Maria. And you are?
Who are you?
Servants, come forth from the gates of hell!
Your blood. The scent of your blood. You're a Belmont!
Attack! Rid my castle of this pest!
So, is this ultimate version the best the Saturn version can ever be? That remains to be seen, but there are still some areas that I'd like to see some improvement. As I mentioned earlier, the water in the underground cavern is still a mesh that looks quite poor. I really hope someone finds a solution to that. This version also still has the performance issues that have dogged the ports since the original. Slowdown is prevalent in many of the areas, and while it's not game-breaking, it's still a hindrance to the gameplay no other version experiences at the same level. No simple hack is ever going to fix this, as it's likely a core issue with the code itself. Outside of remaking the game entirely, getting fixed performance on original hardware is going to be a no-go. I'd love to be wrong about that, however. There is also an annoying issue where the removal of the black bars reveals portions of the screen where things just don't look right, or you see things you shouldn't. If you are watching the screen currently, you'll see what I mean. This likely couldn't be avoided given the way the game was originally displayed, and on that note, those of you that were bothered by the way the Saturn handled the resolution of the PlayStation original will again not be satisfied here. Though this patch does fix a great many of the sprites and effects in this regard, the overall image still has the same funky inconsistencies as before. None of this ever bothered me, but I have seen enough complaints to know there is a group out there that really hates it. In the end, this new Ultimate Edition is the combination of years of work to get Dracula x Nocturne in the Moonlight on the Saturn a bit closer to the game it always should have been. I loved seeing many of the transparencies return, I appreciated the English translation, and the 4MB RAM expansion support was icing on the cake. Add on all the other little additions and fixes, and it deserves its new namesake. I'll put a link to Meduza Team's YouTube channel in the description so you can find the patch, notes on the changes, and can leave your appreciation for all their hard work. I'm Sega X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.